Hey, Danny Matta here with PT Biz, and we are in Phoenix, Arizona, checking out Rise Rehab and Performance with Martin and Skye. We're gonna go in, check it out inside Wildfire CrossFit. Come on, let's see it. Tell me a little bit about this, guy. So how long have you been in this space?
We've been here about 2.5 years now.
Sweet.
When we moved in, it was just a little closet, but now we've expanded to the whole upstairs.
Yeah. So were you members of the gym before, or was this just like, hey, this was like a good spot? You were? How long have you been coming here?
We had been coming here since 2020.
Yeah.
So probably a year before we started our business.
Cool.
And then we were already good friends with the owners, so it was just a good fit to get started.
So it was just like a natural, hey, we like you. You guys are members here. Like, you seem to be helpful with our members.
We were trying to find a way out of corporate healthcare.
Yeah.
And basically we're like, hey, we do physical therapy. We're treating people on the side, and we turned a side hustle into a full-time business now.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Well, let's go upstairs. Let's check out the space, and then we can kind of walk through what they're working with and what the clinic looks like. All right, so this is, who works in here primarily? Which one of you gets this space? You? You get the bigger space? I like that.
I get the window.
You get the window? Yeah. For you, when you went all in first, right? As you were still working, you said a PRN job?
Yeah.
So how long did it take for you doing that until you were able to actually like join to where you weren't working somewhere else as well?
I was at the hospital for a year and then cut off of weekends, but.
Were you just like chomping at the bit to get out of the hospital?
Yes.
Were you like, man, I was at the gym all day?
Yeah, so I started out with like one client here, and I was at the hospital probably 4 days of the week.
Yeah.
And like, that grew word of mouth, and eventually it got to the point where I felt like I was working all the time.
Yeah.
So like I cut down my during the week hours at the hospital, said I was just gonna do weekends, but then I was literally working 7 days a week.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, how long am I gonna work 7 days a week? Like, I need my weekends back.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. I can add to that as well. So like we calculated how much Skye was making doing her PRN jobs Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
And it just made no sense to a certain point of her working on the weekends and then having to divvy her time into the business as well, because I needed help and I couldn't do everything.
Yeah. I would come home tired,
so
and I wouldn't want to do any marketing or
Yeah.
things like that. So it was good to get out, because then I had more energy to
actually put into the business instead of just like, just keeping things afloat and like half your foot in this way and half your foot in the other way, right?
There's always typically a moment somebody has where like, I can't do this shit anymore.
It all started like during COVID. So I was working at outpatient ortho, not in the hospital.
Yeah.
And I got laid off during COVID, like a lot of people did.
So many people, yeah.
And then it was really hard to find a job because no like outpatient ortho places were hiring. It was all in the hospital treating COVID patients, and I didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
So eventually when I found a job, it was in a chronic pain center, and I hated it. And I was only there for like 2 or 3 months before they got bought out by another company. So I was just in transition this whole like COVID year, bouncing from job to job.
Wow.
And then found a third job and got laid off of that one as well. And I was like, that's it. Like, you can't trust anyone else. Like, you have to do it for yourself. And I knew he always wanted to start a practice from the beginning. So at that point I was on board, because I was just fed up with that.
I've worked in like high volume outpatient ortho for 8 years, 9 years. It came to a certain point where I was like, I don't know if I want to be a physical therapist anymore, because it's just like, you're just burnt out, right? It's like, is this all that there is to offer? Like seeing 15 to 20 patients a day, going home, taking notes. And I really had to kind of sit down and be like, hey, is there another way? I wanted to be able to treat people the way I wanted to treat them and not have the red tape of, hey, this person's knee hurts. They're here for their back. You can't help them with their knee, right? It's like, that makes no sense to me. I'm like, I'm gonna help this person who's in front of me, right?
Yeah.
So this has been great because I can treat people the way I want to, and I can make the best decisions for them, and as long as they're on board with it, right?
Let's talk about this. What's been the hardest part of this transition to go from being in like, bigger clinics, insurance-based clinics, to now doing this?
For me, the hardest part is like I miss like that 2-week stability of that paycheck.
Paycheck paralysis?
So like the financial stability of like, we have really good months and then you have a slow month, but over time you get better at planning for the slow month.
What about you?
So I can comment on this. So like being a couple in the business as well, we've had to learn boundaries, right? So we we think of things much different. We have to come to a mutual agreement most of the time, right? So sometimes I'll be in the middle of the night, hey Skye, like I have this idea, and it's like midnight, and then she's like, hey, like
not talking about
we're not talking about this
like
now,
8 p.m.
right? Like we'll talk about tomorrow, or like now we have meetings where he's like, hey, bring this up in the meeting, right?
Yeah.
So setting boundaries for those type of things has like helped us a lot, and like learning, hey, there's business time and then there's personal time as well, right? Like we need to be able to separate those two. So I'm still learning those things. I think you're better at that, and you remind me all the time. But it's like, yeah, setting those boundaries is very important.
But I mean, for you guys, you also have ultimate time freedom at this point. No one can tell you when you can't take a day off. You want to go snowboarding, you can do it, right? So what's been the best part of starting a business together?
That exactly has been amazing. So it was so hard to get time off before, and I even ran into a situation where they're like, oh, you have to find someone to cover for you and see your patients. I'm like,
yeah.
But we don't have someone who does that, you know?
We're supposed to find a person on Craigslist?
Yeah,
what do they expect you to do?
basically the other PTs would just inherit everybody and have like a crazy schedule. But now, like, I mean, patients have been so good about it. They want us to take the time off and recharge, and like,
oh, yeah.
So as long as you block it off and tell them ahead of time, you know, like nobody cares. Everyone's like, yeah, go have fun.
Well, let's see this other office. I want to check out the last little part of your space. What do we got here? We got some dry needling. What's like typically what you're doing with them? Like what's your sort of like philosophy with working with people?
I would say he's a little bit more manual than I am. I'm a little bit more exercise, but I mean, we both do both of the things.
Yeah.
So manual for me could be soft tissue, it could be cupping, scraping, those sorts of things. And then I don't do dry needling. So if any of my clients need dry needling, which has happened before, I can just be like, hey, like
referral.
Schedule a session with Martin. He's got you covered.
Yeah.
So
how much time are you spending here versus out there?
I mean, it depends on the patient, but like if they're doing pretty well, like it might be 10, 15 minutes up here and we spend the rest working out.
Yeah.
Usually it starts a little bit more half and half, but yeah, we try and get down into the gym as quick as we can.
So from a patient population standpoint, like what % of people that you're seeing are CrossFit athletes and what % are not?
Yeah, so when we started out, it was literally all Wildfire.
It's like 100%.
Athletes, yeah. And now it's slowly transitioning. So I'd still say probably 75% is here.
Yeah.
I mean, there's 250 members or something. So
really?
We got lucky with it being a very big gym. But now we're working our way out to the community. We're starting to meet people from like F45s. I have like a PA that has been sending me clients.
Yeah.
So
long term, what do you see for your vision of Rise? Like, is this something that you want to be, multiple sort of like satellite offices and gyms? Do you want to have your own standalone space and you want to go that direction? Like, what does it look like 5 years from now?
We definitely want a standalone space for sure, but I also can't see us really giving this space up because we have such a good deal on rent, so we'd probably use it for something.
Sure.
But yeah.
So like the dream is eventually a brick and mortar. There's pros and cons with that as well.
Sure.
But I think our vision is like some type of multidisciplinary clinic with multiple providers, more than just physical therapy. Okay. So like maybe like some mental health stuff, some nutritionists, personal trainers. So like I would call it like the
whole wellness continuum. Yeah.
Like the medically oriented gym is basically what I would call it. Like just a space where you can run classes, those type of things, but it's run by practitioners and medical practitioners.
But if you want to learn more about what you guys are doing and learn more about Rise, like where can they check you out?
So you can visit our website, www.riserehabpt.com, or just follow us on Instagram, Rise Rehab PT.
Sweet. That's it.
Yeah.
This was awesome.
Thanks,
Thank you so much for
Appreciate
letting us see your space and sharing your story. Hey, guys, hopefully you like this one, and we'll see where these guys are in 5 years. This is what I'm interested about. Like, it's like a time capsule for us, so we'll see. It's like you called your shot, multidisciplinary clinic in 5 years. Let's do it. All right, thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time.